All right, welcome back to ChiroCore. I'm Dr. Renee with Intun ChiroCare, and I'm here with
Kayla Shutter from Core Connection Pilates.
We are doing another video, but this is a little bit different than what we've done before. We started these ChiroCore videos really talking about core strength because I really feel weak core strength is a lot of the reasons people come to me as chiropractor with low back pain and stuff like that. But with Pilates, the practice is strengthening and stretching. And so when we talked about core strength, we really kind of mentioned to avoid extension a lot. We don't want to avoid extension permanently because extension is a really good thing that we need to do.
Right.
So this video is just going to kind of show how to get into extension the correct way.
Yes.
And things like that. But it's really important that you learn how to engage your core correctly to protect your low back when you're doing extension workouts. And I think that that's why we kind of waited this long to do a video.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk about like why extension is so important because of the day-to-day things. And
Yeah. Well, we always say, low back pain, we almost try to avoid it. But at the same time, we have to really stretch these muscles. So as we're strengthening them too, we want to get out of that same, rounded back or engaged abdominals. They need to also lengthen. So, and just kind of being sometimes in a forward, we live in Wisconsin where it's cold, we're kind of closed off in the chest, or we're in this world of texting and phones. We're always looking down, that we kind of get tight in this area. So I just like it, it gets people out, and it feels really good when you are in a nice extension and you do feel the support. Yep. The reason why people usually don't like extensions is because they're not supporting it. So then they're dropping into their low back and then they're just compressing your lumbar spine, which extension is really to elongate and to lengthen up to go back. So when we really get those principles under a good understanding of how they apply, it can be a really, really good thing for the body to get out of that rounded back. So this is actually a little bit more advanced than what I would normally start a client off with. We would usually start this on the floor and work really small, but Renee is going to demonstrate with the tension of the springs on the trap table. So she's going to start lying on the box on her stomach, and we're going to use the springs to help assist in getting into this nice lift. Okay. Good, and I can hand you the handles if you need. And she's going to extend her arms long by her back. And from here, I'm already going to have her start to activate her core by pressing her hip bones down and pulling those abdominals in. So just like we would practice lying on the back, we always want to feel that support. Lying this way, gravity's working a little bit to our disadvantage. So we have to work harder to keep our abs engaged. And then I'll usually say work those legs about 25%, so they're not fully lifted, but there is energy down through the knees, the ankles, the toes. As she presses the springs down, she's going to lift her chest up. Yes, and then lower the chest as the arms return. And she's getting that stretch through the abdominals. She's getting her arms active. She's opening across the front of the chest. And we haven't really done a whole lot yet this morning through extension work. So she might start to also feel some stretch as she's working through this. Good, and go for like 2 more, and then you can take a break. That's right. And you can let the springs go and step down. So maybe you can, talk about how that feels and how the springs can aid.
yeah, it feels really good because my job, I am bent over adjusting all day. So I have really rounded shoulders. And I also have the forward rib cage, which we'll get into in a whole different video. But it feels really good to really open up your chest and get everything moving. And it's the whole body because, to keep your legs up, you're working your glutes and you're working your hamstrings. And then to get up in the chest, you're working your upper body.
Right.
But once you can, and I'm talking from personal experience, like, when we started, I could have never done these extension exercises because of my low back from being bent over and adjusting all day.
Nice.
Extension was very uncomfortable for me. But once you practice and make that progress, like it feels so good to get into extension because you really stretch out the anterior part of your, and when else do you stretch out the front of your core?
Right.
Like it's really difficult. We stretch hamstrings and quads, but like to stretch the anterior of your core, it feels pretty great.
Yeah, exactly. And once we really find that, like I said, most people don't like extension because they're compressing, and it's really about elongating.
Yep.
And once we can get those ideas, well understood, it's like, yeah, it feels so good when we get it. So it takes time to get that. Sorry, I'm just like trying to readjust here because I was going to just show one more version of how the trap table.
Do you want me to take the box down?
Yeah, we'll take the box down.
Well, and I think it's just another, the stretching is just as important as strengthening. I think sometimes we worry about strength more and more, and I would say these exercises are really about the stretching. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. And not that they're not strengthening, but that isn't the emphasis. I would say that it's a lot about the stretch that we need versus, the strengthening. Hopefully we've gotten to a point where we're strong enough to do it.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm just going to set up here. So this is more of an advanced version. Again, I'm trying to press my hip bones down. I'm pulling my belly button into my spine, and I'm lengthening out my head to go out and up. So I'm not just lifting up, I'm trying to find a reach, and I'm using my arms to press down, which is going to help stabilize and anchor my shoulder blades. So sometimes in an extension, if we're really tight, I'll see the shoulder blades up in the ears. So we're trying to get that. Again, another conversation to be had. But, and then I can really stretch my front of my abdominals and lengthen back down. And then if I want to get more work into my shoulders and stretch my arms, I'm getting a higher lift. And again, now this is a really, really advanced extension that I wouldn't put many of my clients into, but it is an option for someone who is very athletic, a dancer, a gymnast, that oftentimes really need that stretch of the armpits and the arms to take that into this lift. And from here, I am working my extensors. It might not be as obvious, but I am still working my back muscles to lift up. And and then one other, that was not a very good version of it. You could stay up here and press down and out as well. So again, now I'm getting my arms to work as I'm working through this. So
if there was someone, and I'm kind of adding this on the fly, so I apologize.
That's
if
okay.
there's someone that is struggling with low back pain, where could they start at the bare minimum? Because now that I'm thinking about like on the box, even doing that might be a little bit challenging. So where could someone start at the bare minimum?
So this is something you could also do at home.
Okay.
But on the mat, just lying down, and I have people practice pressing their hip bones into the floor.
Okay, perfect.
And literally lifting just about 4 inches away from the hands.
Okay.
So just enough that from here, I should already have my abdominals engaged. I should feel some stretch and elongation of my low back and some lift into my core already. Like, even though I'm not going very high, this is where I start clients.
Okay.
Because right from there, if they're telling me they're experiencing pain, which a lot of clients do, it's because they're not engaging their core. Yeah. And the second I tell them to press their hip bones down and pull those abdominals in deeper, they automatically have a greater support system for their low back. Yep. And then that's a safer place for them to work. And that's how they can start then to understand extension. And it's very, like I said, it's a super minute movement, but getting that already to start is where we begin.
And I just wanted, because thinking back of like when I first started, I don't know, I couldn't have done that on the box because I wasn't engaging my core correctly. So I just wanted to make sure that realize like extension shouldn't be painful. So if you start to do these extension exercises and it's painful, like stop. Don't work through the painful. It just means that you have to work a little bit harder on engaging the core. Yeah. And, structurally and biomechanically just kind of keep working on it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, because clients from that even sometimes just lying on their stomach can be painful because they're probably dropping in their low
Yep.
back. So it's a matter of getting that support before you even move.
Yep.
That's so important. And
Yep.
that usually helps eliminate some of the pain.
Cool. So this is a shorter version of our videos, but we just wanted to talk about the stretching and getting into extension because we've talked about core strength so much and kind of, we didn't say avoid extension, but we've kind of skipped around it. But it is super important for everybody to get into that extension mode. However, we just want to make sure that you do it correctly.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Kayla or myself and we can help you work through it.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.